is a section to make sure people are in touch with our different kinds of efforts. We're going to start by acknowledging some of the folks who are here. We have with us today Robert Listenby, who is the first assistant at the DA's office. We have Andrew Jenneman, who is the chief of our Public Nuisance Task Force. He is the one who has the little checks. And by little, I only mean in size. It's the same amount of money. They're the ones that actually work at a bank. And he is responsible, among other things, for making sure that the organizations who are to receive the awards we're presenting today are in compliance with all of the specific details to make sure the money goes exactly where it's supposed to go. We have with us today Councilmember Kenyatta Johnson, who is in the 2nd Councilmanic District, and we're delighted to have him here. We also have Mark Squilla on his way, who's in the 1st Councilmanic District. We want to acknowledge State Representatives Harris and Fiedler, both of whom have obligations today, but we were hoping could join us, and they have collaborated in many different ways with the office, I'm happy to say. We have James Robinson, who is the bishop of this beautiful church, the Yesha Ministry Worship Center. We have representatives and youth all around me, representatives and young people all around me from 7 community-based organizations who are here to receive the DAO Violence Prevention Grants. We will formally introduce all of them later during this press conference, but I'm delighted that they are here. They are crime prevention, and they do it from the bottom of their hearts. Hopefully we can put something in their wallets too so they can get it done. All right, I'd like to turn now to gun violence. The number of homicides to date, year to date, is 372. On this date last year, the number was 319. That is an increase of 17% as compared to this date last year. That news obviously is unacceptable. But I do want to put it in context, because sometimes when we talk about an issue as serious as gun violence, we do not talk about it in context. We do not talk about it fully. When I was standing here 8 weeks ago and I told you how much worse it was last year than this year, we were talking numbers like 38%, 36% worse. Well, it is worse still, but it's 17% worse. So how did that happen? How did we go from having a rate of gun violence that was that high to one that is reducing, awful though it is? The answer is that we've had several weeks in which the numbers of homicides, almost all of them gun homicides, and in some instances the number of shootings were down. What we have seen during the pandemic, starting around March of last year, was on average about 1.5 deaths from homicides per day. That's a lot, and that comes out to 10.5 per week. 10.5 per week. That's what we've seen during the pandemic. That's what we've also seen this year during the pandemic. Well, last week the number of homicides was 5, which is obviously less than 10.5. We have had a few weeks recently when it was 3 or when it was 5. Does this mean something? 4 weeks ago I would have said no. Now, especially as we see schools opening and classrooms opening, especially as we see that in many ways certain aspects of society have opened up despite these variants and the threats that they present, I would say there's reason for hope, and that we should be somewhat hopeful that we're seeing improvement. 3 homicides a week, 5 homicides a week, these are the kinds of numbers of homicides that you saw on average during some of the best periods in the city, during some of the lowest periods of homicides during the city. We can only hope that it will continue, and I'm quite sure that the organizations standing behind me and with me here are a part of that solution and will continue to be a part of that solution. There were 24 non-fatal shootings in the week beginning September 4th and going through September 10th, which is the time period that we're talking about. There were 178 gun or gun violence incidents. Of those 178 gun or gun violence incidents, there's 74 arrests that came from them by law enforcement. 68 cases have already been opened and charged by the DA's office based on those 74 arrests. We continue to see the failure of cash bail to be an adequate way to deal with the system, and I will briefly say one more time, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania need to join the modern trend in the United States of having money have nothing to do with bail. If there is probable cause that you have committed a truly violent act and present a threat to the public, there should be no amount of bail that you can pay to get out. Rich people don't get to go home while poor people sit in jail if they're that much of a danger. And on the other hand, for people who do not present that kind of a threat to the public, they should get out without paying money. This has worked very, very successfully in the District of Columbia for more than 30 years. It is working in a modified form very successfully in New Jersey, in Kentucky, most recently in Illinois. This is where we have to go. And until we get there, people who present a serious danger to the community but have resources and can dig into their pockets are going to be able to get out and be on the street before their trials occur, and that presents a danger to all of us. Over this weekend, which is actually after the time period that I just referenced, we always have our data go through the prior Friday, but over this weekend, on Sunday, September 12th at about 2:40 p.m., there was a triple shooting on the 5000 block of Germantown Avenue in the 39th Police District. There were 3 24-year-old victims involved. I can tell you on the ride up here, I was just on the phone along with DA's Detective G. Lamar Stewart, who wears a couple hats, but is also a Philadelphia police officer and a DA's detective. I was on the telephone with a state representative, Darisha Parker, who is understandably very, very concerned about that shooting and about a shooting that's not too different than that shooting which occurred a few weeks ago. We had an in-depth discussion about it. I can tell you some of the things we discussed, others I cannot tell you, but I will tell you this. There were 3 24-year-old victims involved in that case. Victim 1, a black male, was shot at least twice in the head. He was transported to Temple University Hospital, where he was pronounced a short time later. Victim number 2 is also a black male, about 24. He was shot once in the right hip. He was transported to Temple and was placed in critical but stable condition. Victim number 3, also a black male, about 24, shot in the buttock and leg, transported to Temple and was placed in stable condition. No arrests have been made by the Philadelphia Police Department at this time. This is an open investigation. Anyone with information, we need your information. We need your cooperation. We need to stop this. The number is 215-686-3334 for the Philadelphia Police Department's homicide unit. This is the second shooting at this location within the last 3 weeks. The previous shooting included 5 victims. The shooting happened within 100 feet of the Germantown Masjid. Our community engagement team will conduct outreach with stakeholders and residents in Germantown later this afternoon. And our CARES team has been doing outreach to the family of the homicide victim already. Once again, anyone who is thinking of picking up a gun, don't. Please understand how effective my office is at obtaining convictions for people who are arrested on solid cases. Shortly before the pandemic, when the courts were open, our conviction rate was about 85%, close to 85%. Please do not do this. Do not do it to your family, your neighbors. Do not do it to yourself. Do not do it to the person who has somehow become your target. Do not do it. You'll be throwing away so many lives. Victims, families, and communities impacted by gun violence can contact our Victim Services and CARES Unit for support of many different types at 215-686-8019. And while we will, as always, effectively and fairly and carefully and diligently, we will continue to apply all of our skills and everything in our toolbox to prosecute crimes in a courtroom. We will continue to advocate for what we consider to be the only route to real justice. And I say that because, in my mind, getting a long sentence against someone who took another life is no replacement for that life. And that's why we need to talk about prevention. We need to lift up prevention. We need to spend money on prevention. It's a bargain. It brings justice. It makes sure 24-year-olds are not shot to death by being shot twice in the head. And that is what so many people standing here with us today do. All right. Now, we have at this point, including what is about to occur today, we have at this point pushed out into the community $704,751 to 29 organizations. Today's total will be $207,800. $851 presented to 7 different organizations. This money, so we are clear, comes from people who are actively engaged in criminal activity. This money is almost all obtained from people who are dealing drugs, dealing illegal drugs on the streets of the city of Philadelphia. This money has not been taken in ways that prior administrations in the DA's office took it, and that meant forfeiting the house of grandma because the grandkids sold weed out of the basement while she was at church. We don't do that. We don't do that. We're very careful not to do that, and Mr. Gentleman, who is here, is a big part of that effort. This is all done after the conclusion of many years of litigation against the DA's office for doing it the wrong way. And it's all done in compliance with current law, which has changed, and in compliance with agreements that forfeiture will be done with proper safeguards. So rest assured, we're not stealing grandma's money to do this. And this money is deliberately being put back into neighborhoods and into zip codes where it came from in the first place, because people who harm those communities should have that money recycled into helping those communities. It is my pleasure to begin the announcement of 7 different awards with the first Violence Prevention Grant awardee, and that is to the Fathership Foundation. In a moment, you'll be able to hear from Dr. Jonathan Wilson, who's the executive director, and we're delighted to have him here, and also Sean Roberts, who is a youth ambassador. We also have with us Mr. Emmanuel Sidney, and the amount of the check that will be presented to them is $30,000. But more important than the number is what they do. What they do at the Fathership Foundation is provide community education and workforce development programs to increase the amount of formally educated and trained work-ready adults. The organization seeks to create and implement culturally competent interventions and programs that strengthen men, families, and communities by supporting male parenting and formal education. If you want to see an end to crime, how about a job? If you actually look at the studies that are done on people who have had convictions, sometimes convictions for relatively serious offenses, sometimes have been convicted and gone to jail, when they come out of jail and they're making minimum wage, it's as if they were unemployed. The rate of recidivism or committing additional crimes is about just as high. And then you go up $2, and then you go up $2, and then you go up $2, and you see the level of crime drop and drop and drop as that income increases. And by the time you get to $22 an hour, they're not committing crimes. So make no mistake, job readiness, job training, jobs are crime prevention. And they're also a bargain. And they also keep people alive. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to present this check to the Fathership Foundation for its important work, to Dr. Wilson, the Youth Ambassador, young Mr. Roberts, and to Mr. Emmanuel Sidney. Words. That's why I'm putting that there.
Cool. Greetings. My name is Dr. Jonathan Wilson. I'm the Executive Director and founder of the Fathership Foundation. Fathership Foundation is a community-based 501c3. We operate in the 51st and the 40th wards of Southwest Philadelphia. We're very grateful for this award today. And on behalf of our Board of Directors, we'd like to thank Larry Krasner, the DA's office, and also Mr. G. Lamar Stewart for answering my emails in 24 hours. Work that we do is very important. Like you said, it's about prevention. What we pride ourselves in doing is moving guys from the non-skilled labor sector to the skilled labor sector. And just like the DA said, it really helps out a lot because guys that are making money don't shoot each other. We have 3 signature programs. Our first program, of course, is our workforce development program, 49-hour kick-butt program. Our second one is our community academics reentry program, because we know that you got to move from the non-skilled labor to the skilled labor sector. It's going to take formal education or formal training. And our last program is we work with dads, put them in the classrooms with Title I elementary school students between 4 and 10 years old. So with that, I'm going to give it to my homies here to say a little something.
Hello. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me today. My name is Emmanuel Sidney. I've been a part of Fathership Foundation, you can say my whole life. Dr. Wilson is a friend of my father. He was murdered on the streets of Philadelphia when I was 13. The importance of the program to me is seeing all the fathers, since this started, come out with their children and be in the community with their children. And it's been a major impact where I'm from. And we have big crime in our neighborhood, but with the Fathership Foundation, it has changed dramatically, drastically, and helped me present my own program, Manners Make Men, that I preach to the youth, that manners are those keys without money. And so they'll get you through those doors and definitely help you along your way. So thank you for having me today again.
How y'all doing? My name is Sean Roberts. Thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite. I would just like to say just two things as far as the reentry to getting you back on track with like getting a job and stuff. I know back in 2019, I was like having a hard time and reached out to Dr. Wilson, and he, helped me reapply for PTTI, which I ended up completing to become an electrician. So I was really proud of that and him helping me out with that. But then also being an administrative assistant, where we also, I had to reach out to the parents and constantly contact them on the daily to come into class and, be a part of their child's development and just be a part of the curriculum, see what your child's are being taught and how the teachers are interacting with your child. So just a big, it was a big major thing for me to be a part of that and to see how far it's come to be here right now, being presented a check for the foundation. So it's an amazing blessing, and we want to thank everybody from the DA's office and just the support, the supporting around the community, especially Southwest, other communities that come out and support. So we just want to thank you guys for having us, and thank you for everything.
Can you get some pictures for us, Ike?
Thank you again, dear. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do.
Dr. Wilson, we'll sit this over to you.
Okay, terrific.
1, 2, Councilmember, I got you. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
All right, thank you so much. Our second Violence Prevention Grant awardee is the Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation. The Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation, PCDC, is a grassroots, nonprofit, community-based organization whose mission is to preserve, protect, and promote Chinatown as a viable ethnic, residential, and business community. PCDC's housing counseling, family services, and economic revitalization programs help to lift low-income Chinese community members out of poverty and to achieve financial independence. It is my honor to introduce John Chin, who is the Executive Director of PCDC.
Thank you, District Attorney, and thank you for all of you for inviting me here today. There's this myth out there that Asian Americans are the model minority. That is very far from the truth. Our children, like all children in the city of Philadelphia, face many dangers. If you go down the wrong road, take the wrong path, then your life is in danger as a child. So our programs at the Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation provide some relief and sanctuary for our children. And it's just not for our children in Chinatown. It's for all children, regardless of what color, ethnicity, or race you are. We have children that come to our programs. First and foremost, we have anti-violence programs, teaching kids how to de-escalate conflicts and how to resolve conflict. This is a core important part of a program if this city is going to see a reduction in violence. And our kids come from all over the city: South Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, the West Poplar neighborhood in Spring Garden. We also help kids stay on track to make sure that they see that there is a future for them, and that includes writing workshops, includes after-school, high school curriculums, helps them prepare for college. Every spring each year, we will take groups of kids to visit college campuses. Kids need to see beyond what they know in the communities and the neighborhoods. They need to know that these campuses are there for them and that this opportunity is there for them as well. So we work on that. Art is an integral part of kids' development. So we have an art program, and this year, with this funding from the funds that the district attorney has collected and distributed to the community, we have a mural arts program where kids are going to develop a mural based on the themes that they come up with for the community center. And last but not least, again, we have many adults mentors as part of our program, and these are always available for our children. Again, our program is for every single person in the city of Philadelphia. Everybody is welcome, so thank you very much.
One thing John Chin does not know is that I was a resident of Chinatown for a little bit more than 2 years, right before I got married. This is let's not go there. This is a while ago. But I lived at 9th and Arch, and I got to see exactly what he is talking about. Sometimes people make assumptions about all kinds of different groups, but not only did I love living there, but I also recognize the challenges that he speaks about, so I appreciate your comments, sir. The third Violence Prevention Grant awardee is to Eddie's House. Eddie's House's mission is to provide knowledge, care, and support to inspire their participants so they may find their own sense of self-respect, self-worth, and their own sense of belonging to develop a foundation for a sustainable future. We have with us today Marion Campbell, who is the Executive Director and can explain a little bit more about the important work of Eddie's House. We have Dennis Milborn, a youth participant. Dennis will not be speaking, but they are with us, and we are proud to present a check to them in the amount of $41,184. Ms. Campbell?
All right. Good. Is it morning or afternoon? No. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marion Campbell. I'm the Executive Director of Eddie's House, and I'd like to thank the DA's office, Mr. Krasner, Kenyatta, and Reverend Robinson. Thank you so much for acknowledging Eddie's House. We've been around in existence for over 12 years. We have supported young people. We specialize in youth aging out of foster care. We specialize in youth transitioning. We do a lot with housing. So we work with the Department of Human Services. We work with Office of Homeless Services to make sure our young people have housing so they're not living in the street. We recently just opened up a new drop-in center up on Broad and York Street. We normally are located out in West Philadelphia. We still have our offices and our center out in West Philadelphia, but we opened up a drop-in center for young people up on Broad and York, and is the first low-barrier drop-in center in the city of Philadelphia. And low barrier means that there are no requirements for you to come in, for a young person to come in, relax, get services, do whatever they need to do to take care of themselves. There is essentials provided for them, so if they need to take a shower, they need to get a mailbox, they need to get voicemail, whatever it is that they need, we're here to supply. We have a group of 30 young people that are working out all of the programming from artistry to music to open mic to poetries. We're hoping to be a hub for the young people where it's one-stop shopping when they choose to get any services. So it's up to them whether they choose to partake in the services. But at the end of the day, we just want to make sure they're not on the street, that they're not living out of their cars, they're not, going from house to house. We want to make sure that they're safe and secure. So that is the purpose of the drop-in center up on York Street, and it is called the Cornerstone. And with these funds, we are hiring 2 credible messengers, because we use credible messengers in our community. And so we're hiring 2 credible messengers, mentors, and we are hoping to make sure that we become a national model in the city of Philadelphia. And we also provide restorative practices with conflict resolution. So we're part of the Restorative Cities movement also. So thank you so much.
All right, our 4th Violence Prevention Grant awardee goes to the KB Foundation, Inc. The KB Foundation, Inc. works to build the developmental and social competencies of young people through educational, recreational, and hands-on learning experiences. Their programming, held over a 4-day camp, led by committed mentors, provides activities that promote team building, decision-making, community connectedness, and conflict resolution, a phrase you're going to hear a lot among these groups, because it is such an essential part of what they do. It is my pleasure to introduce Kirk Berry, who's the Executive Director of the KB Foundation, and Yazim Green, who is a youth participant, and this is an award in the amount of $5,000. Mr. Berry?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Krasner. My name is Kirk Berry. I'm with the KB Foundation, and we're excited to accept this $5,000 gift to go towards our youth empowerment program servicing young men like Yazim. The KB Foundation was founded 6 years ago, and the reason why I created it is because I thought it wasn't fair for young people not to experience things like overnight camp and learn and have fun. And so 6 years ago was our first time. We had 9 young men that attended camp. And over the past 2 years, you would think, how do you have an overnight camp during COVID? And we were able to do it successfully last year at the height of the pandemic with 13 young men. And that created a model for us this year to have 31 young men. And both summers, I'd like to proudly report that nobody was exposed to COVID. None of our campers and none of the adults that participated. So the KB Foundation is all about youth education programs. It's about teaching young men life skills. And so our motto is exposure is life. The more our young people are exposed to fun learning opportunities, when you talk about gun violence prevention, when you talk about that, I'm playing the long game, where if you take a young man who's 11 and you work with him till he's 17, you won't have a group of 17 to 25-year-olds that are committing crimes. You'll have a group of 17-year-olds that are looking towards getting jobs, 17-year-olds that are looking towards going to college. Some of those that spoke before me that are providing those opportunities of college tours and life and employment opportunities. If I work with the young people from 11 to 17, those who are working with the older teenagers, we can work together and have a long prevention plan so that we can avoid gun violence. And so thank you so much for this award on behalf of my board and our organization, and I want to pass it over to Yazim.
Hello, my name is Yazim, and I was a participant at the KB Empowerment Camp. It was a very good camp to me because I got to experience different things that I'd never done before, such as archery, and they taught me how to change a tire and many other things. They also exposed me to new foods, different types of things. Also, they taught me how to cook. They taught different life lessons also. The camp really helped me gain connections, make new friendships, and got me out of my comfort zone. Whereas though in the city where I live here, there's just usually loud cars at night, maybe loud people, but over there at the camp, there were the woods, there were new things. It was the darkness that I had to get used to. I had to get used to be away from my mom, my parents, my family, and learn to grow and adjust to new situations. So I really like to thank Mr. KB, for allowing me to be at the camp. Thank you.
Well, young Mr. Green may be uncomfortable in the woods, but he's mighty comfortable with a microphone. I gotta say, he's doing pretty well. All right. Speaking of young people, I'm not gonna put pressure on anybody here, but I know there's somebody here who can play drums. So I'm gonna let that young person think about it, but I'm not gonna put any pressure. That'll come in a minute. All right. It is the 5th Violence Prevention Grant awardee is the ECO Foundation. The mission of the ECO Foundation is to provide creative education, healthy food, and employment opportunities so people can meet their needs and exceed their goals. The executive director is Kyle Morris, and we also have with us today Jalen Campbell. This is an award in the amount of $50,000, and I'd like to call forward Kyle Morris and Jalen Campbell.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is. My name is Kyle, the conductor Morris, and on behalf of the ECO Foundation, our board of directors, and the people we serve, we want to give thanks to all of those people who made this possible, and most importantly, thanks to the Creator for getting us this far. I'm a gunshot survivor, and typically in these spaces, I feel like I'm compelled to do so because, to share that information, because as someone who was shot 6 times and died on the table at Temple Hospital, a hospital that saves 80% of the people, there's 20% that weren't saved. Stephen Kyrie Johnson from Southwest Philadelphia was also murdered that night, and the person who shot us was from Glenside. He had a straw purchase gun, and he was from the burbs, had a good job. It just didn't make sense, right? So we think about the things that get in the way of us, our family, and our freedom and our futures, and what we don't talk about often enough is the things that prevent us from getting to the next step. So as a gunshot survivor, it's not just the day you leave the hospital. It's the months you may spend on physical therapy or on pain medication, or the nights you stay up wondering why you survived and other people didn't. So by creating a safe space, the ECO Foundation has opened up a community center at 5411 Market Street so we can serve young people as young as 8 years old, teaching them the skills that they need, and giving financial incentives for young people as young as 10. Through our Young Bull program, BULL stands for Bold Unstoppable Leader. These young bulls learn everything from self-defense to how to grow their own food, how to start their own business. We trick them into some physical therapy and mental therapy because, kids, you got to trick them into learning sometimes. But our program has recently started the EMS program. So EMS is Energy Management Specialist. We're looking for all of you adults and young people to come into our schools and be paid at least $18 an hour to work with people that are in charge of our young people. It doesn't stop at 3 p.m. and it requires all of us to come together as a village. And this young person I'm bringing with us today, I've been fortunate to know for the past 4 or 5 years, and she's going to tell you more about the ECO Foundation. So thank you for this opportunity. Again, we look forward to serving with you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jalen Campbell, and the ECO Foundation has filled my life with amazing opportunities since 2016. From Cameras Converting Communities, a program where I've learned to funnel my creative talents into helping the community through projects centered on spreading awareness of pertinent issues, to being able to take a leadership role in a parents' workshop where we discussed issues and did fun things geared toward helping parents relax, like sipping paints and jewelry making classes. Now I'm blessed to be able to take on another venture with Brother Kyle and the Eco Foundation, being an energy management specialist, which will allow me to work in a classroom setting, helping facilitate the needs of that class and teaching children techniques to maintain positive energy and work through their conflict and emotions. Throughout the years, Brother Kyle has inspired and mentored me, and most importantly showed me it was possible to possibly affect the change that I personally want to see in my community. If I have an idea that I feel will positively influence my community, I now have the resource to make that possible. I'm happy and proud to be a part of the process that has helped me immensely since my teenage years. Thank you, Brother Kyle, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all for listening.
Lead our people to freedom, man. Oh, cool. That kind of conduction. Okay, that's awesome. Our energy to conduct the space. That's awesome. Oh, I like keep the family on track. Okay, thank you so much. All right, appreciate it.
All right, thank you both. Our sixth Violence Prevention Grant awardee is Rock to the Future. Now, I was messing with Jared Smith earlier because I know his record company doesn't want him just playing for free. I know that. So I'm not really going to squeeze him to play the drums, but I know he can play the drums. And there are drums up there, and there's also drumsticks up there. I'm just saying. But I'm not going to make him do it because I don't want to tick off his record company. Anyway, so this award goes to Rock to the Future, which provides student-driven music programs in a safe and supportive environment at no cost for Philadelphia youth in under-resourced areas. Through music, their students build life skills to unlock their fullest potential to support current and lifelong well-being. Some of us really wish that the kind of robust music programs that used to exist in public schools and existed when I was in public schools were still there, that they were as well funded. We all know we still have some music teachers who are out there doing everything they possibly can. But they need those resources, and they need that support. And that's why it's so important to have an organization like Rock to the Future and step up when there is a gap in the opportunities available to young people. And so I'm delighted to introduce the Executive Director, Jessica Kraft, and also Jared Smith, who I understand is an alumnus of the program and also a youth participant. This is an award to Rock to the Future in the amount of $50,000.
Hi, I'm Jessica Kraft, founder and CEO of Rock to the Future. Rock to the Future supports current and lifelong well-being through free music programs for Philadelphia youth. We integrate exciting music opportunities like learning guitar, drums, bass, piano, music production, original songwriting, and live performance, along with direct academic support, mentoring, college and trade school readiness, and career exposure opportunities. Through music, our students learn conflict resolution and communication skills, build positive relationships, and have a vital opportunity for creative expression. We work with hundreds of Philadelphia children and teens each year, provide dozens of free community performances, and 100% of our after-school program participants pursue college or trade school after graduation. This grant from the District Attorney's Office will help us expand our programs in Kensington, Germantown, and build a new program in Hunting Park. We're so excited for this opportunity, and I'm really thrilled today to be here with our alumni student and now also staff member, Jared Smith. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jared Smith, and Rock to the Future means the world to me now because it's helped me a lot through high school, especially, and my mental health. I dealt with a lot in high school, and Rock to the Future just helped me keep all of that together, keep myself together, keep me going through high school. And it helped me pick up some skills, like learning the guitar and the drums. At first, I really didn't want to do the program, but my mom was like, yeah, you should do the program, and I'm glad I really did it because I'm glad to be here. It's an amazing thing to be a part of. Music is a big part of my life now, and I want to continue it in the future. And it's all thanks to Jess and Rock to the Future. And yeah, that's all.
Last but not least, we are very excited to announce our final Violence Prevention Grant awardee today, the 7th, and that goes to the Icons Sports League, EYEKONZ. The Icons Sports League's mission is to empower, educate, and motivate the next generation of field hockey and lacrosse Olympians. It is their belief that through the structure and development of playing field hockey, their students will develop skills such as sportsmanship, healthy lifestyle, teamwork, self-esteem, healthy body image, and academic achievement, which translate into a wholesome, productive lifestyle, both on and off the field. And I'm going to guess it has helped some of the young people who work with them also to get into some pretty great colleges. Sounds like a wonderful program. I'm delighted to introduce Jasmine Smith, who is the executive director, and Sophia Poole, who is a youth participant. This award is in the amount of $16,667. Would you come forward, please, Ms. Smith and Ms. Poole?
Good afternoon. Thank you, DA Krasner, to Greg Stewart, for your belief in the DA's office, for your belief in Icon Sports League. I am CEO founder of Icon Sports League, which is geared towards growing field hockey and lacrosse for inner city children of Philadelphia. We program from ages 5 through 19 with over 500 children plus in our program year-round. Through our 4 tiers, our first tier is going into schools that ordinarily would not have field hockey and lacrosse, and with our partnership with University of Penn, we're able to provide those students with academic support, counseling, and job readiness preparedness. And also with that, our second tier, we program over 204 kids through our club travel team, where they're able to then travel throughout the whole country playing lacrosse and field hockey with tournaments. Out of those numbers, we have 33 children that have gone off from our program to go to college to play lacrosse and field hockey on full scholarships. Our fourth tier is open up clinics and tournaments in areas that would not ordinarily have those programs. And our fourth tier is our international program, which will kick off in Ghana, and then our children in Philadelphia will have the opportunity to then travel to play not only in Ghana, but also to teach those children in those designated areas the game that they love. Right now, I have one of our participants, Sophia Poole, who will be able to share what Icons means to her.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Poole and I'm 15 years old. This program has done so much for me and so much for my teammates. It has given me not only the platform for me not wanting more for myself, but wanting more for my teammates. It's given me a way for me to look forward in the future, for me wanting to play lacrosse in college, and giving me my first job at the University of Pennsylvania. Is helping. I don't have to worry about going outside and getting shot now, because Icons has given me a home inside of my heart and inside of my coaches, and this team is just so beautiful, and I love how much so much support I get from it, from academics to having a summer job and also a spring job, and just loving my teammates. And along with that, it's just given me a platform, like I said, for me wanting more and wanting more for everybody in my community. Thank you.
Great. You absolutely knocked it out of the park. That was wonderful.
Good job.
All right. That about says it all, except it is now my honor to introduce 2 people to give some additional remarks. The first is Kenyatta Johnson, council member from the 2nd Councilmanic District, who has a unique and fascinating history when it comes not only to gun violence in his life, but also his efforts to reduce gun violence, to build community, to aid prevention. He has been a crucial leader in council when it comes to public safety, along with Councilmember Jones and others, and played a very, very important role during this administration in relation to the DA's office in terms of working with us, collaborating with us, giving us some good ideas and asking us some tough questions, and that's what we need to answer on issues of gun violence. So I'm delighted that he'll say a few remarks in a moment, but we also have James Robinson, who is the bishop of the Yesha Ministry Worship Center, this beautiful location where we are now. A man who believes very much in music, by the way. It did not take me long to find a pair of drumsticks around here, as you can see from all the equipment that's set up over here. And I have been at services here, and I've heard that music, and it's really pretty wonderful. So James Robinson will be batting cleanup, as they say, when it comes to comments, and then we will take questions. But first, it's my honor to call forward Councilmember Kenyatta Johnson.
I'm going to be brief, but I want to ask everyone just to take a moment to give District Attorney Larry Krasner a real big round of applause, first and foremost. We know when we talk about the issue of senseless gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia, that we're going to have to take a comprehensive approach. But this particular initiative shows that we have to invest on the front end. The reason why we see so much crime and violence inside our communities, particularly black and brown communities, is from a significant amount of years of disinvestment. And so organizations such as this haven't had the opportunity to receive grants. They pretty much had to work on a shoestring budget, and most importantly, work hand in hand trying to find support and resources so they can expand upon the work they're doing. So District Attorney Larry Krasner, this is my first time having the opportunity to participate in one of these types of press conferences. I just want to say hats off to you, because it did give me a chance to see firsthand how this initiative is impacting organizations that are actually out there doing the work. So give them another round of applause. And last but not least, to all the community organizations, these are the individuals who are out there doing the work. This has been so inspiring, but most importantly empowering, because at the end of the day, we have to uplift and empower our young people, but most importantly, the people who are the leaders doing this work day in and day out. We have to empower them, but most importantly, make sure they have the resources that they need to expand opportunities for our young people. And so to all the leaders who receive a check today, keep up the good work. We have to show our young people that there's more in life than just what they see in their immediate neighborhood. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge one of my spiritual big brothers, Darrell Robinson. My dad goes to church here. My mom was buried in this church. And this is a gentleman who's just not a pastor, but he comes from South Philadelphia. He has his own story. But most importantly, he's on the front line day in and day out, not only speaking from a spiritual standpoint, but he's one of those pastors that's actually really in the street addressing the issue of gun violence. So I just want to acknowledge my big brother, and you come on up to say your remarks.
So first let me say that God is good. In this city, we're now making some very significant movement because we have people that are concerned. And when I say people, we have our Councilman Johnson, who has been fighting to help this real epidemic, Peace Not Guns. He started that initiative. And now we have a DA that's really, really making some significant changes and making sure that we're dealing directly with the community. Again, let's put our hands together for DA Krasner. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to say that these groups, these community groups, are just awesome. They are working, they work without support, and now they're able to get some support, but they're doing the very best they can to impact as many souls, as many young souls as they can. Come on, let's give them a great round of applause. Now, I also want to say, and again, this won't be long, I want to say that we do a lot of work in the community. We do a lot of musical programs, and I want to say to the musical group, we have a studio, a recording studio, and a lot of our youth have come through our studios. In fact, my oldest son is the MD for Pharrell and travels around the world. In fact, he's endorsed by Mapex, the drum set that you see there. So there's so many avenues for our youth. I want to say, I would love to, for any of the groups you want to see me, we have a facility across the street. It's a hall, but we have technology in the hall. We have a recording studio. We have other things there. You're welcome to see me and to utilize our facilities, not for money, but just if you're going to do something to help these youth. I would love to give you dates that you can do things that would help you to further advance your cause. And just keep up the good work. And I'm overwhelmed today with joy for all the things that I see going on. And again, for the support that you're getting. May God richly bless you.
All right, we are available for questions, and by we, I mean everyone up here. We are available for questions from the media. Then I have a couple final comments. One about bicycles, and the other one about where we choose to spend our money in criminal justice. Maybe I can talk a little bit about Mr. Crossland when we do that. Are there any questions for anyone here from the media? All right. If you get some new questions, then let me know. So bicycles. Why am I talking about bicycles? At this point, we have given away about $700,000 to many different organizations. But the application I have not seen has not been around bicycles and bicycling. Why am I bringing it up? Well, I'm bringing it up because there's this energy in the city of Philadelphia. It's bubbling up. You see it all the time. Young people on bicycles. Most of the time, they got the front wheel up. And they're doing wheelies all the way around City Hall. In my entire life, I never succeeded in doing one wheelie, but they're doing wheelies all the way around City Hall. They're riding in their neighborhoods. They are doing tricks on these bikes. They're doing amazing things with these bicycles. And yet we do not see yet in the city of Philadelphia the kind of support for something that is constructive, that is healthy, that allows them to get outside of their neighborhood and to see other neighborhoods and other things in the city. As Councilmember Johnson referenced, we don't see that yet. We don't see that yet. So please, all of those of you out there who care about bicycles, care about the city of Philadelphia, which is famous for its trails, among other things, step up, give us a call, talk to us about what you have. I have a meeting coming up with the leadership of a major bicycle distribution company, and I won't tell you which one, that's very excited about the potential to lift up cycling. Cycling is something that ain't free. Well, neither is football, but we know how to do football in the city of Philadelphia. Cycling is something that is not just a sport of one race or one group or affluent people. It should be available, like lacrosse should be available, like field hockey should be available to anybody from any neighborhood. It should be available here. I'm calling on the collective energy of all those people in Philadelphia, all those organizations in Philadelphia that care about cycling. And we have a long tradition, a wonderful tradition, of organizations that do things like what Gearing Up has done. I don't know if you know Gearing Up. Leader of Gearing Up was a woman named Kristen Gavin, who now is in the leadership of the Bike Share. What she used to do was go into women's custodial facilities, specifically the Riverside Correctional Facility. Women would get on stationary bikes, and when they got out of custody, they would learn the mechanics of a real bike, and then they start riding that real bike. She was taking women, many of them struggling with addiction, and she was replacing that with something else that is addictive in a good way, that is transportation that is cheap, that provides skills and confidence and so on. Gearing Up did amazing work. There's a similar organization in West Philly that works with kids. You show up for a course in mechanics that goes on for many hours. You get to keep the bike. Well, this is how you help young people. You develop them. You give them opportunities. You give them resources. You can do amazing things. And then they can go pull some bike parts out of a dumpster behind a bike shop, like I used to do as a kid. They can put them together, and they can look at their own hands and say, I can do something. That's positive. So you love bikes, we want to hear from you. Contact G. Lamar Stewart at the District Attorney's Office, our community outreach team at the District Attorney's Office, because we're working on something, and we are willing to invest in it the same way that we have been investing in what's going on here. Speaking of investing, criminal justice system has a choice to make. All the money we've given out these different weeks, about $700,000, right? That was a choice. Let me tell you another choice the criminal justice system made. That was to lie, cheat, and steal in the trial of a man named Crosland, who spent 34 years in jail for a crime he did not commit. He's standing right there. I did not know he was going to be here today, but he has a connection to the bishop. So let me tell you what 34 years in jail costs. I'm going to estimate low. $50,000 a year times 34 years, $1.7 million. Wasted, burned up by some police and prosecutors who thought winning at all costs was better than getting the guilty person and making sure the innocent person didn't go to jail. The money that was spent just to incarcerate this man is more than twice all the money that we have given out to all these organizations all this time. And that was a choice by a system that cared more about politics and cared more about winning than it cared about truth. And that doesn't include, I mean, obviously the story of Mr. Crosland is similar to the stories of many other people who've been exonerated, but that doesn't even include the valid and legitimate lawsuits many of them have raised and that this city has settled. Sometimes when people start talking to me about, oh, we don't have money for prevention, it makes me sick to my stomach. You got money for $10 million lawsuits that are the result of lying, cheating, and stealing and putting innocent people in jail, but you don't have money for prevention? I think we do have money for prevention. And so even though I haven't had a chance to talk to him too much, it's been a pleasure to meet you in person, Mr. Crosland.
You too.
And I wish you the best in the future.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions at this time? All right, if there are no other questions, then thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let's do it by Pharrell's drum set. Oh, yes.
We got you. We got
Oh, yes, thank you.
You're oh so well. I don't do that for a living.
See you again. But you know,
I'm liking that one. I'm liking that one. So which court should I contact?
So Larry's going to play the drums?
Yes.